In tonight's Tax Insider, Senate leaders move toward a showdown today with rival Democratic and Republican plans for extending the Bush-era tax cuts. It looks as though neither stand a chance of passing. Here's how they differ. Republican senators want to extend all of those cuts. Democrats want to extend them for everyone making less than $200,000 a year. The Democratic plan also calls for higher taxes on people who inherit estates. For reaction and analysis, we turn to our guest tonight on Capital Insider, Dave Williams, president of the Taxpayers Protection Alliance. He's always following the money for us. So, Dave, it appears Democrats have drawn a line in the sand. Yeah. Now, you're not a fan of tax increases, period, but wouldn't some tax cut extensions be better than none?
Boy, you know me so well, Morris. You're right that the Taxpayers Protection Alliance is not for any tax increases, and really, when you only do a few of the extensions, you're not going to have the economic effect that you really are going to desire, because if you just do it for, let's say, under $200,000, people that make $200,000, you're not going to raise the revenue to put a dent in the deficit or the debt, and it's really going to hurt the economy because you're not going to be, the businesses aren't going to be able to hire people. So we don't think that this is the right way to go. Let's extend the tax cuts for everybody right now, and let's not wait till November or December and a lame duck. Let's do it now so there's no uncertainty.
All right, so political considerations aside, how can all of these extensions be continued without increasing the federal debt?
Cut spending. My two favorite words in the English language is cut spending. Last year we saw these fake spending cuts, and now we see Republicans trying to back away from sequestration. Well, guess what? You voted for it. We got to do it. So we have to cut spending in a real way. Because if you raise taxes, all you're going to do is just drag the economy down. And that's the last thing that we need right now. With 8.2% unemployment, we really can't afford to take another step backwards.
Now let's talk about stocks. Yeah. Yesterday, Apple announced a net income of $8.8 billion in the fiscal third quarter. That's slow for them. Now tax experts say that figure doesn't reflect Apple's true profit, that the company hides some of it with an unusual tax maneuver. What's going on there?
Boy, this is unusual, and there's two parts to this, is that they're keeping some of their profits overseas, so they're not taxed at their current corporate tax rate here in the United States. But here's kind of the weird twist to this, Morris, is that they've said, okay, we have these profits overseas. We know that they're overseas, and we're going to count those as tax liabilities. So at some point in the future, they're pretty much keeping their fingers crossed that we're going to lower the corporate tax rate, because they said, okay, once we bring that money back in, we will pay taxes on it. We just don't want to bring it back in yet. So they've admitted that they have this money, that they'll pay taxes, but they're not quite ready to bring that money in yet.
Now, Apple's not alone in this practice, no. Dave. As you know, would lower corporate tax rates solve the problem?
Oh, absolutely. That's really the first step, because we want to create an atmosphere in this country where businesses want to expand. And they want to make more money. That's what we want. We want businesses to make more money so they can hire more people. And by having this really onerous high corporate tax rate, they're saying, well, if we go overseas, we get a better deal. We can expand there, we can send our money there. So we really need a country and a tax rate that encourages business to expand here in this country and not overseas.
Now, the headline on your blog reads, "When the government stands up for taxpayers, finally." Tell us about the now bankrupt green energy company Thompson River.
So did you think this was an April Fool's joke when you first read it?
I did. What's up with that?
Well, there was this company in Montana that was supposed to convert coal-fired power into wood-burning power. And it took $5 million taxpayer dollars, came out of the stimulus 3.5 years ago, and guess what? They've gone bankrupt. And now the Department of Treasury says, wait a second, we want that money back. Now, it's going to be a long road to get that money back, but boy, what a great opportunity, and kind of a shot across the bow of other companies that have wasted this money to say, you know something, we're not going to roll over. We're actually going to try to get this money back, and I think that hopefully this sends a message.
Do you think this is the start of a trend, Dave?
I would like to think so, and taxpayers would like to think so. And even though $5 million is a drop in the bucket to our debt and deficit, I think that it sends a bigger message that if you get money from the federal government, from the taxpayers, and if you're not a good steward of that money, we're going to try to recoup it. So whether it's $1, $5 million, or $5 billion, let's get this money back.
Now, before we wrap up, let's talk about the Tea Party and the conservatives on the right that you've been talking about. We've all been discussing it and how they are so conservative in terms of spending our money, which is fine. Are they remaining consistent? Because, you know, we hate to see anything that would be hypocritical, but so far when we talk about the budget, spending, the deficit, are they staying true to their cause, or do they have some hidden agenda or some pork out there that we don't know about?
I don't know if it's a hidden agenda, but I do know that last week we had a huge defeat, is that there was an amendment that was co-sponsored by a Republican and a Democrat to get rid of sports sponsorships in DOD, in Department of Defense. And you think, wow, okay, the House is controlled by Republicans. They talk about cutting spending. They want to get rid of Obamacare. They're really fiscally conservative. That amendment did not pass. So right now, DOD will continue to fund NASCAR, I think Ultimate Fighting, and some other things. So really just, you know, there's a kind of a glimpse into the Republican Party last week with this amendment, and they chose not to save this money.
All right, keep following the money for us. What's your website, Dave?
ProtectingTaxpayers.org.
As you do so well. Thanks for being with us. Dave Williams, President of the Taxpayers Protection Alliance. Thank you.